Charlie Hench is beginning the challenge of a lifetime. A solo hike in the Sierra Nevada mountains. With his 50th birthday approaching, he's out to prove he's still got what it takes to survive alone in the wilderness.
I love the solitude, I love nature, I love the outdoors. It's something I always wanted to do. Considered myself being somewhat self-sufficient. And so I think I kind of went up there alone in an attempt to prove that to myself, I think.
Charlie has hiked in the mountains many times before, but always with friends. He knows that going alone will be his toughest challenge yet.
I'm not getting any younger, and I'm not as in good a shape as I used to be, and I just wanted to get lost for a week, walk away my worries.
Charlie's long-term girlfriend of 7 years, Julie, knows what this solo trip means to him.
Charlie has spent a lot of time, I think, on his own and alone. He likes to go and do things by himself. He got this wild hair, this idea that he really wanted to go and do this. And I knew that there was no stopping him.
I remember we hugged and kissed. She wished me luck, told me to be careful, told me she loved me, and I told her the same.
He's a big kid. Charlie's a big kid.
In September, conditions in the Sierra Nevada mountains can change instantly and dramatically. But in his enthusiasm to get going, Charlie ignored weather warnings. By early evening, a fierce wind blows in, and his peace is shattered.
Wednesday night, the wind started picking up. And that's the first time I really felt exposed. You know you're alone, the wind's picking up, you're not sleeping, you're wondering, this isn't any fun, you know? I really became concerned for the first time Thursday when it really started to snow and the wind was just howling.
The wind becomes a vicious snowstorm, and Charlie hunkers down for the night, hoping it will pass.
When I woke up, pretty much snow everywhere. Woo! I got up and literally I was half buried in snow. But the weather was kind of breaking.
Although the skies are clearing, the new snow has transformed the landscape. Navigating the route ahead will be a formidable task.
At that point, there's really no trail. And if there was, it was buried in snow. I've been up there before years ago, and it just did not look familiar. The weather should be better down there, certainly. So I dug the snow out, packed everything up, headed up to the pass.
Charlie struggles on for 2 hours, but hiking blind across the snowdrifts, he's way out of his depth.
It was just very tough. I realized that I might have made a mistake proceeding. But my rationality tried to overtake me, and I told myself, you'll be okay.
Having committed himself to going forward, Charlie continues on over the hazardous pass. But here, the terrain is perilous, and now the weather takes another dramatic turn for the worse.
It really started to snow, and the wind was just howling. It was just blowing in my face.
Despite the worsening conditions, Charlie is determined to complete his ambitious hike. But as the raging blizzard intensifies, he starts to realize that he's in over his head.
While I was thinking what to do, my face is getting all cold from the wind, and I remember just turning around with the wind at my back. I don't remember tripping. I don't remember flying through the air. I just remember I hit my head. I don't know how far I fell, but it had to be 30, 40 feet at a time. You have no control. You just hope you land and survive.
Charlie helplessly plummets to certain death. But a rock ledge, jutting out of the cliff face, breaks his fall and saves his life.
I was in such a confined space, there was no room to move. The ground was hard. I couldn't stake it into place and pull it tight like you would normally do. So I finally got in my bag and rubbed myself, tried to get warm and dry off. I distinctly remember, for one split second, realizing how lucky I was to survive. I kind of got warm. I kind of gained my senses a little bit. And I thought, well, I got a cell phone, I could try that.
Okay. Hello.
We're sorry. Your call cannot be completed. Please call your operator to help you.
And of course, it didn't work. Beep, beep, beep. Because of the lack of the signal.
No. Oh, no.
I became very despondent because I knew at that point there's no way I'm gonna ever reach anybody from the outside world.
Isolated and trapped on the ledge, Charlie is in urgent need of medical attention. Worse still, he isn't due to finish his hike until Saturday, in a day's time. Until then, no one will even suspect he's in trouble. Charlie survives a second torturous night without sleep. But after 48 hours trapped and critically injured, he's desperately weak and is starting to suffer the effects of dehydration.
You stop urinating, your mouth becomes dry. I knew I had to melt snow in the morning and melt snow in the evening, but I only could do it at those times because I only had limited fuel.
In the freezing cold, lighting the stove is already an awkward process. But with Charlie's shattered wrist and suffering a concussion from the blow to his head, it's become a potentially lethal mission.
In trying to light the stove, I spilled a little bit of gas, and so I mopped it up with my bandana. finally did light the stove, the gas beneath lit on fire. So I grabbed my bandana, which was already wet with gas, in an attempt to put it out. That lit on fire, burnt my hands. I released it, and it started my tent on fire.
The fire has burnt the last of his fuel. His only way to produce water trapped on a tiny ledge, hundreds of feet high on a sheer rock face.
I had this little map that I jotted notes on the back. It was like, you know, a little journal, so to speak. I recall noting that it was probably the worst day of my life. I started thinking about being home, being with Julie. I wanted to get back to normality, you know?
My focus was wondering what he was going through and how he was feeling. I was safe. My main concern was always Charlie and what he was going through, what he could be potentially experiencing.
I was really down at that point because I knew I might not make it out unless somebody comes find me. I knew I was lost. I knew I couldn't go anywhere.
Pinned to an icy ledge, Charlie Hench realizes that rescuers are looking for him in the wrong place and may never find him. He must take action, or surely die. His only choice is to attempt to scale the sheer rock face, despite his injuries.
I went into panic mode, thinking, if I'm going to survive this, I got to try and get out. I knew I couldn't go down. It was out of the question. And I kind of surveyed the landscape above me. And I said, I'll try this way, up and to the left, as I face the mountain.
But with a badly damaged spine and broken wrist, every inch Charlie climbs is agony.
My hand is broken, so it's most difficult. You're kind of hugging these rocks one-handed. It was just very tough. I made it under, around, over these humongous boulders. I scrambled over, 3 or 4 rocks. And then just, I couldn't go up anymore. Didn't know what to do, so I just sat on the rock right where I was kind of like trapped. I was trapped on an even smaller rock, and I thought I couldn't go down and couldn't go up. I was literally stuck even in a worse spot. And it was early evening, and so I didn't know what to do. And so I made the decision, well, I'm just gonna stay here. What else can I do?
Charlie's shattered wrist and weakness from dehydration make scaling the near vertical cliff face impossible. Away from the shelter of his tent, he is now totally exposed to the icy wind, and the temperature plummets.
It was just so uncomfortable. Not only could you not sleep, but you're just uncomfortable in the position you were. And I thought it was, you know, I didn't think I was gonna make it. A, I was so uncomfortable. B, they stopped looking for me. So I just laid awake all night, looked at the moon.
That was the darkest time, I'd say. I was very discouraged at that point. I did not sleep well during those nights. I thought something had happened, that I would never see Charlie again.
As the night wears on, exposed to the freezing temperatures, Charlie risks dying of hypothermia.
It was the longest night of my life. I had to stay awake all night. Didn't have to, had no choice. I wrote a few things out, you know, like a lousy attempt at a will, because I thought it was all over, and I just kind of, you know, divvied up the little things I have to people I know and love. It's an awful feeling. I hear this plane, and he's at, you know, he's above me. This guy is, you know, almost at my sight. And so I got my fishing pole with my stuff sack on, and I'm waving it.
I'm here.
And then he goes by, and I wasn't sure he saw me.
Over here.
So then he turns around, he comes like right toward me again. Wave my bag. He does the wing dip, you know, like you see on Star Wars and that. And I just thought that was the best thing that happened right there.
After nearly a week, trapped alone on a small rock ledge, Charlie Hench is finally found. Following a gut instinct, his friend Dave decided to search the far side of the mountain pass, close to where his brother was lost, one last time.
Well, it was pretty amazing. I mean, I guess Charlie could be described as a needle, and the mountain's a haystack, and I did find that needle in a haystack. I've actually been to the ledge where he was stuck, and I've been there during the summer, and it's a pretty scary place. Charlie could have been killed. My experience in that whole thing is that it turned out good. I mean, Charlie and I have quite a bond that we wouldn't have had before, and that's something pretty special.
When we got the call that they found Charlie, I mean, it was pure just elation. We both just fell apart, and you could just hear it in his voice that it was pretty traumatic. So I was just very thankful. He's a survivor. That's just, he's a tough guy.
Charlie received emergency treatment for his broken wrist, lower spine, and head injuries. And when he returned home, was welcomed like a hero.
I finally got back to town and saw Julie. I was just thrilled. She's a big part of my life. And I was just very happy to see her. It was just the little things that kept me alive, that I wanted to return to, you know, that I love so much.
Jamie.
But on the first day, Jamie Fisher gets the itch to go climbing.
Check it out, mate.
Their ski resort is at the foot of one of the greatest climbs in the French Alps, the north face of Les Trois.
Jamie, I know, but I'm supposed to be on holiday with my girlfriend.
You're not looking. It's the north face of Le Droit we're talking about, which we agreed we'd do, huh?
The north face of Les Trois is a treacherous climb. But it's exactly the kind of challenge Jamie Fisher relishes.
What do you reckon?
Jamie was really a true mountaineer. That was his big calling in life. He often seemed to think about nothing else.
So basically, we'll overnight at Le Grand Montet in order to get an early start in the morning. 3-hour brisk walk, we're at the foot of the face.
Okay.
Jamie Fisher is determined not to let this opportunity pass. But first, he has to persuade his best friend.
We got a week of this window, perfect weather.
A week.
A week. There's no reason why we can't tick this off. You won't even know we're gone. We'll be back before you know it.
It would have been very nice to just spend the whole week on the slopes, skiing, snowboarding, having fun, just being with our friends. But both of us knew that we had something within us deeper that was driving us to do more.
You know, you're really going to get me into trouble one of these days, Jamie.
And? Cheers.
Cheers. Salut.
Le Droit.
Le droit.
Once the decision was made, Jamie and I were set. We were going.
The two Jamies take the cable car to the top station, 10,000 feet up the mountain. They'll spend the night there to get a head start in the morning.
I certainly was getting very nervous about it by now. You know, even with all the experience I had under my belt, you know, you always get nervous before a big climb. And I always find I reach this stage in the night where I kind of wish that there's a big storm going to come in and I can call the whole thing off. I remember opening my eyes and seeing Jamie pacing about. He'd obviously not been able to sleep either, and he'd got up and was wandering about.
Come on, Sleeping Beauty. Time to go.
Just give me a minute, okay?
Come on, stop whinging. Get ready.
Okay, I'm up.
The next day, the two Jamies set off to begin their climb of Les Trois.
It was a long, hard trudge up the glacier. Jamie was much more up for it that morning, and I was feeling pretty ropey with the altitude and general nerves. And I could hear him singing to himself as he trudged through the snow.
Anyone ever told you got a really lovely singing voice, Jamie?
Yeah, they told me I got a beautiful voice.
He could sometimes be frustrating, but, you know, he was great company.
And as dusk falls on the first afternoon, the two friends find a ledge to rest up for the night.
You don't expect great luxury in these circumstances. You don't expect 3-star hotels, but we were pretty happy with that.
Your room will be ready in a sec, Mr. Andrews.
Oh, thank you very much.
You know, being able to get into our sleeping bags, to get lying down, to get hot drink, that was good enough for us.
Good day, huh?
Yeah, not bad. Not bad.
It will crack it for sure tomorrow.
Yeah.
We were both feeling elated. We were bang on target at that stage. We were exactly halfway, which was what we'd hoped.
As dawn breaks, the two men set off on the final ascent to the summit. A sheer vertical ice face, one of the toughest climbs in the Alps.
There's no ledges on the face where you can take a break. And so it is very tiring on your calves, your calf muscles. Essentially, you're standing on your tippy toes all day. By about lunchtime on that second day, we were feeling pretty confident at that stage. We were feeling that, you know, we were going to reach the top within a few hours.
They make great progress. But 800 feet from the summit, conditions suddenly change.
I don't like the look of those clouds, mate!
It had been perfectly clear the 1 minute. The next minute we looked up and there were these clouds rolling over the summit ridge of the mountain. We realised that this was a pretty serious storm that was coming in. It wasn't long before the snow started falling. It just became phenomenal. It very quickly became very, very heavy indeed.
In just a matter of minutes, the two climbers have been slammed by a vicious alpine blizzard.
But we weren't too worried at this stage. You don't expect to be able to climb a mountain face like that without encountering some bad weather.
But far from blowing over, the storm rapidly intensifies.
I've never experienced anything like it. It was just piling down onto our backs and rucksacks. You know, literally faster than we could shake it off. It was just incredible.
Then suddenly, the fresh snow triggers the thing climbers fear most. Mountain avalanches.
You just have to hold onto your ice axes as tightly as possible. Just close your eyes and hope for this avalanche to pass. It was horrendous climbing in those conditions. It was just really, really, really hard.
The two friends are now clinging to the side of the mountain, knowing every step could be their last.
It became a job of survival. There were great periods of time when we couldn't see each other. It was just impossible climbing in such horrendous conditions. So it was pretty tough.
They now face a life or death decision.
Jamie! Woo! This is something, huh? Yeah, but what do we do?
Abandoning their climb would mean descending the 3,000 feet of treacherous ice below them. In the raging blizzard, and with a broken ice axe, the two Jamies know that what began as an exciting adventure has turned into a potentially deadly climb.
I was beginning to think that we would never reach the top. It just seemed to be going on and on forever. But it was Jamie who suddenly let out this yell.
I'm bound somewhere!
And I knew from his tone that this was it. He'd made it. He was at the top. suddenly both there we were on the top, on the summit ridge. And that was great. That was fantastic.
But as the night wears on, far from abating, the mountain blizzard intensifies.
It did start into our heads that we couldn't survive this indefinitely. And we started to think that maybe this storm's never going to pass.
By morning, there's still no let-up in the weather.
The storm, if anything, it only got worse. Because the snow is now accompanied by this powerful wind. That was bringing with it, much lower temperatures and much more unpleasant conditions.
This isn't good! What do we do? Stay put! What? Wait for the storm to die down! We can't go anywhere in this!
It didn't take us long to decide that it would be lethal trying to head off down the mountain in those conditions. The same physically demanding situation as yesterday, but with very much more dangerous avalanche risk. So we were effectively trapped. I knew that Jamie wouldn't ask for that kind of help unless he really needed it.
Yeah, okay, yeah, good idea. Let's get to your bag, it's bigger, okay? Okay.
Jamie knows his best friend is desperate, and that he must get into his sleeping bag to keep him from freezing. But on the tiny ledge, every move is racked with danger.
Okay, I'm gonna get into your bivvy, all right?
So it was really awkward trying to wriggle into this tiny bag. Both of us were slipping about all over the place and losing perches. And then suddenly...
Jamie, I'm slipping! Jamie! Jamie!
I was sliding, and I couldn't stop myself. I tried to reach out to grab something. You're just falling in the blackness of the night. And my heart was in my mouth.
Jamie is saved by his climber's rope attached to his waist. But he's now left dangling above a 3,000-foot precipice.
Jamie!
Climb up!
Jesus Christ, help me, Jamie!
Calm down!
His friend can do nothing to help him.
You gotta climb the rope!
I can't do it!
You can! Keep calm! It's okay! You gotta climb up!
Jamie's only way out is to pull his own body weight back up the rope as the storm rages around him.
But the rope was cold and icy and really quite thin.
Exhausted from 3 days without food, water or sleep, every inch of the climb is torture. And halfway back up the rope,
And I remember plunging back down to where I'd started from.
Jamie!
I'm stuck, Jamie, I'm stuck!
Calm down! You just gotta climb the rope!
And so the next time, with a monumental effort, I pulled myself up this rope and landed myself with a great heave back onto the ledge. It was a big fright. But I guess I also realised that really all we had to do now was just stay where we were and survive. And eventually a rescue would be able to get us off there.
All they can do is try to keep each other warm in the minus 22-degree temperatures and pray that the storm passes.
We would spend the night just waiting for the first light of dawn, because it was only the dawn that could ever bring a hope.
But the next day, the blizzard just gets worse and worse.
As the morning came in and the storm carried on raging on, it became more and more depressing. The thought that this storm was never going to pass.
They've had nothing to drink or eat now for 72 hours. Both men are severely dehydrated. And in the Arctic conditions, Jamie Fisher is succumbing to the effects of hypothermia.
I know that we both must have had thoughts that maybe we wouldn't be making it down alive.
It's starting to break. Jamie, the weather's starting to break.
I looked out, and there, for the first time in days, we could see the mountain peaks on the other side of the valley. We heard that unmistakable thud, 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 thud. And straight away, they saw us. That was just an incredible moment. We were rescued. We were down in the valley. We were having hot baths and hot meals, and all that went through our heads.
But as the helicopter attempts to hover directly overhead, it's pushed back by fierce mountain winds.
Where are they gone?
We realised what the difficulty was. It couldn't hover anywhere near us because of the massive updrafts that blew up the mountain face.
Time after time, the helicopter is forced back. Finally, the pilot manages to get within yards of the stricken men.
We could literally see his face. It was really being thrown about all over the place like a toy.
Close now, come on!
At any moment, it looked like it might be dashed against the rocks on the ridge either side of where we were trapped.
But at the last moment, the pilot loses his battle with the wind and is forced to abandon the rescue.
I can't describe how gutted we were to be left there on the mountain on our own. It just felt even more lonely being there, having seen other people for the first time in days, and then just be left abandoned to our fate on the mountain again.
Thousands of feet up a mountain, without food, water, or shelter. All hope of rescue is now gone. But the brief drop in the wind allows them to light the stove to melt ice for water.
It was Jamie who suggested it. I thought he was crazy trying to actually get the stove burning on this ledge between us. And that was just unbelievable. Just the first time in 3 days that would have been that any liquid had passed our lips. To have some hot, sweet tea was just incredible. And that probably saved our lives that night.
But the pleasure is short-lived. The end of the gas means no more water, and they are still severely dehydrated.
It was incredible that we'd survived so far, but we did begin to lose that battle for survival.
Jamie Fisher is becoming delirious. Gripped by hypothermia, his organs are starting to shut down, and not enough blood is reaching his brain.
Come on, Jamie. You know where we are, Jamie. Tell me where we are.
I don't know. I can't remember.
Come on, Jamie. Come on, Jamie. Tell me where we are. Come on.
Sometime later, and I have no idea how much later, I opened my eyes again. And the first thing that I saw was rays of sunshine as they lit up all the mountain peaks all around me. Moments later, I heard that helicopter approach. And this time I knew that somehow they were going to rescue me. Somehow they were going to get me out of there. I was spinning 1,000 meters above the glacier in space in what was literally one of the most spectacular and daring rescues in the history of the Alps. I knew that I'd made it. I'd been rescued and I was going to live.
But the rescue had come too late for Jamie Fisher. His body was taken down from the mountain shortly afterwards. Jamie Andrew underwent surgery to save his life. Surgeons amputated his dead, frostbitten limbs, which were poisoning his blood.
They were very dark days indeed, those first few days after the accident. But on the other hand, I knew that this was to be the low point in my life, and now I could get on with the job of putting my life back together again.
For Jamie Andrew, years of reconstructive surgery and rehabilitation followed. But the memories of those 5 days on the ridge are never far away.
I had survived. I was a lucky one. And so I started to make up my mind that I was going to take on this challenge that had been thrown in front of me, and I was just going to treat it like the next big mountain that I had to climb. And so that's really what I've done, just taking it one step at a time. I have rebuilt my life